Hey everybody, this is DJ Vinyl Vertigo. As I have promised, I'm going to do a post birthday special for the queen of alternative soul new wave. I don't know what you call it for what she does. She's kind of has no category. Grace Jones, um, and unlike a lot of my other videos, I'm going to have little notes here because I want to remember certain things. I don't want to forget anything. So I did jot down some notes about Grace Jones. Actually, I met her back in the '80s, and I'll tell you about that later on. But Grace Jones, she's 77 years old. She was born May 19th, 1948, I believe. Yeah, in Spanish Town in St. Catherine, Jamaica. She was raised Pentecostal. Her father was a politician and a clergyman, and she had very strict upbringing. Um, when she was 13, her family moved to upstate New York, I believe, and where her grandmother lived. And some of the children, including Grace Jones, she had three other siblings. Some of them were left behind in New York when the family went back down to Jamaica, and Grace Jones was one of those. And she stayed with her grandmother and her new husband, who was really strict and also Pentecostal, used to beat the crap out of them and stuff. And she tends to say that she grew up with the Bible and beatings, and that's why she became such a subversive person and a very free spirit. She just had to get away from all that strictness and all that craziness that she despises to this very day. I don't think she despises the religion. She just despises how people use the religion to hurt others, and so she decided to be completely opposite of that heavy duty devout religion thing. So, and that's what that's what created the Grace Jones image, I guess. Anyway, she's a singer songwriter, model, actress. And also an influencer before that was even a term and even a social media thing. She kind of was spearheaded. She was one of the people who kind of spearheaded, at least in the '80s, the cross-dressing movement. Not so much androgyny because that was going on even before her. I mean, Bowie was doing it. It was a lot of other stuff, but she definitely typified that because a lot of times when the way she was dressed, you didn't know if she was a man or a woman. I knew she was a woman, and she was beautiful, but she had those angles in her face, and her way she cut her hair really short, which was not customarily the way you saw black women with really short, angled hair. She just typified the most androgynous being you could have, and she became an exotic, almost otherworldly in a way. And she became a muse of many, many artists and photographers and designers. When she started modeling in New York, and then she ended up going to Paris. And she worked for designers like Yves Saint Laurent and Claude Montana, Kenzo, Alaya, Helmut Newton, and many, many others. She was on the covers of Vogue and Elle and all that stuff. And this was at a time when you didn't see a lot of black women doing that kind of stuff. She was a supermodel. And before she was a supermodel when there were only very few black women who were not just just a predominant model, but she was kind of like a supermodel in a way. She transitioned into music in 1977 in New York and Philly, and she started in the disco period. Her first few albums were disco rap albums, and my dogs are making a lot of noise. Disco albums, and we'll look at those right now. So the whole purpose of this video is really to see the Grace Jones music in my collection, and to honor the woman who influenced so many women like Madonna and Beyonce and Lady Gaga and anybody who's kind of like an odd female personality in the music world, especially in the rock world and stuff. So let's get started with her first record. It's called Portfolio. Excuse me, Portfolio, 1976. These are really great album covers. The first three were painted by Richard Bernstein. The photographs are done by Antonio Lopez and Francis Ng. And yeah, incredible stuff here. That's Grace Jones, young Grace Jones. Great artwork, huh? Yeah. This album, this was a disco record. And, you know, I kind of liked her music. I didn't go crazy for it. Because, you know, her music was very, very European disco. So it was a little bit more laid back. It wasn't hard hitting. And I like more hard hitting kind of stuff. So this was prettier stuff. And she you know, she did La Vie en Rose, which was really big. Send in the Clowns, What I Did for Love, Tomorrow. All disco versions of all these Broadway tunes. Sorry, That's the Trouble, and I Need a Man. I Need a Man was a big hit, and still actually is a hit for a lot of people in the clubs. I Need a Man. I need a man perhaps like you. You know, that kind of thing. So that's the first record. I know I'm being silly. But it's Grace Jones. Got to be a little silly, you know? That's her first record. The next one, again, beautiful artwork. This is called Fame. And just to give you an idea, see what I mean? Androgynous, man-like. And that's her in a performance pose multiple times. She worked in a lot of the gay clubs around, and she became a fixture in the gay clubs doing a lot of performings and stuff. And that's where she got her performance style, and she started to try out a lot of wild stuff, and she was very well accepted in the gay community for that. Do or Die was a big hit for her. I like the Do or Die, Pride, and Fame, all really big hits for her. On the other side, this was produced by Tom Moulton, and let's see, Autumn Leaves, All in a Summer's Night, Am I Ever Gonna Fall in Love in New York City, and Below the Belt. The first side A was the side that I remember the most. It's Do or Die. I've got to do or die. That was really big in the clubs. People used to do the hustle to that. I remember that. Pride and Fame, yeah, those were big, big hits for her. Again, you know. So the album Fame, that was the second disco record. Same artists, same photographers for the third one too, called Muse. Here's Muse. Here's the back cover. And she's really striking, beautiful woman. Just very otherworldly, like I said. This one, only song I remember on this record was called Suffer. And I believe On Your Knees was another one. But these were like hardcore songs. This one, Sinning, Suffer, Repentance, Saved, Atlantic City Gambler, I'll Find My Way to You, Don't Mess with the Messer, and On Your Knees. Yeah. And this is all on Island Records, just to let you know. Okay? Tommy Moulton was the producer of this one as well. Yeah, so during this time, as you may know, what happened after Saturday Night Fever came out, and then everybody and their mother was coming out with a disco record. It got to be ridiculous. There was so many disco albums by people who should not have been doing disco. A lot of rock bands were doing disco. You know, a lot of rock artists. You know, the Stones were doing it, and not albums, but doing songs. You know, Rod Stewart, and there were so many others. The people in jazz were doing it. It was just, they were discofying everything, and so there was a lot of rock. There was a lot of rock and roll was really getting overshadowed by disco, because people were discovering that this was a way to socialize, to go to the discotheques and go to the clubs, and you know, it wasn't about, you know, rocking out. It was about learning how to hustle and learning how to, you know, do the latest dances and stuff like that. And the rockers who resisted this didn't like it. And it was also a lot of homophobia and a lot of racism involved, because a lot of the early disco stuff was, enjoyed by, you know, people of color, mainly Latinos and African Americans and stuff, and also in the gay community. It was very big in the gay community, still to this day. Um, um, but so there was a big backlash to disco. Grace Jones, very smart woman, seeing this coming, decided to segue into new wave, to do dance music, but do it in a more rock vein. Thus comes out with her first record of that vein, working with Sly and Robbie, the reggae duo Sly and Robbie, and also with the graphic artist to do her videos and to do her image, Jean-Paul Goude. And her videos are just unbelievable. Just really, you've never seen anything like a lot of her stuff. But the first one that came out was Warm Leatherette. This is probably a record that most people know really well. At least this one and the next one are very well known. And then this record, she does covers again. Warm Leatherette, Private Life, which is a Pretenders tune, a Rolling Stone, Love is the Drug, Roxy Music, right? Hunter Gets Captured by the Game, which is a Motown tune. Bullshit. She does Breakdown, which is a Tom Petty tune. She does Pars. And, there we go. It's really, really cool. Great record. Fantastic. Kind of reggae-fied and new wave, made into new wave kind of stuff. And my favorite songs on here, I love everything on this record, everything, but particularly I love how she sings Private Life. Love is the Drug is a really rocking song that she does. Warm Leatherette is chilling and incredible. It's kind of got that real strange, almost punky, but new wave sound to it. Hunter Gets Captured by a Game is kind of reggae funk, I guess. Yeah. Breakdown is just rock out. It just rocks out. Bullshit, she rocks out on those two. And she just really gets into it. Produced by Chris Blackwell and Alex Sadkin, this one. And the cover was done by Jean-Paul Goude. Sly Dunbar on drums and Robbie Shakespeare on bass. Barry White Reynolds on guitar and Michael Mao Chung on guitar. Wally Badarou, Wally Badarou, on keyboards. And Uzziah Sticky Thompson on percussion. And this was recorded and mixed at Compass Point Studios in Nassau, Bahamas. And of course, that's where you get that reggae sound, that really good reggae sound, because they were down in the Bahamas and they were able to really feel that out and really have a really good sound for it. But there's another cover with her wearing, I believe, I don't want to swear to it. She wears a designer jacket in leather that has these huge shoulder pads on it, and she's made up really wild, and it's just amazing. But that's not this cover. I believe this is the second cover. All right. Yeah. So yeah. Love. The next album was the first album that I actually bought by her. I had seen these. My friends had those other records. But this was the first record I bought by her. And this is not my original copy. My original copy got lost in New York City when I moved to Florida. I found this copy. It's a good copy, although the cover has been written on, which pisses me off. So eventually I'll get another copy, but I think this is an OG. And this is Nightclubbing, and gives you an idea. Ignore the graffiti all over her, but I mean, look at that. Talk about androgyny. This is such a great cover, and I believe that's an Armani jacket that she's wearing. And Jean-Paul Goude again, yeah, jacket by Giorgio Armani. Yep, Jean-Paul Goude does the cover painting. And it's just amazing how blue black she is in this. Sly Dunbar again. It's the same lineup. as before. There's some extra musicians on there, some backup singers in this as well. But this was also done in Nassau, Bahamas, in Compass Point Studio. This is probably her most famous record, Night Clubbing. Walking in the Rain, it opens with, which is fantastic. Pull Up to the Bumper is probably the biggest hit she's ever had. Use Me, which is a Bill Withers tune. She does a great reggae version of that. Night Clubbing is a dark, slow, cool sound. And then she gets artsy with on the other side. Art Groupie, which is just kind of like a very minimalistic sounding tune. I've seen that face before, Libertango, which is very Euro. It's got that kind of European sound. It's got like accordions and all kinds of interesting things in it. And that was used in a lot of films. People just love that song. It's still very popular to this day. Strange, I've seen that face before. Yeah. Feel Up. It's got that it almost sounds hip hop to me. Feel Up. Demolition Man, which is, I think isn't that Sting, or isn't that the Demolition Man? Isn't that I think it is written by Sting. Yeah, it is. It's written by Sting. Demolition Man. This is Police. And she does a really nice reggae version of that, which it doesn't go too far because there's this kind of reggae also. And she finishes up with a ballad, I've Done It Again. This album is a classic. Grace Jones. I mean, if you think Grace Jones, you always think of this record. You just think of Night Clubbing. This record was so great when it came out. And during this period, well, actually, I gotta put up the next one. The next record, which has some really cool songs on it, from 1982. This one is called it's called Living My Life, with the hit song Nipple to the Bottle. Fantastic song. Just incredible song. And these songs I think all the songs are written by Grace Jones on this record. Nipple to the Bottle, let me just look at it real quickly. They don't have the lyrics here, so I can't see. Nipple to the Bottle. Let's see. Nipple to the, yeah, she wrote all the songs. She wrote all the songs on this record. Yeah, all these songs. I just need to finish the weird segue, but yeah, there was a little interruption. So let me finish this video. Next up is Grace Jones' Slave to the Rhythm. And that great cover. Amazing cover. Oh, really cool. Cool. John Paul Good, that was a collaborator. See her all chopped up there. This is a concept record. Basically, it's Slave to the Rhythm. And basically, it's the same melody, but different beats on every part of it. Jones in the Rhythm, The Fashion Show, The Frog and the Princess, Opera Attack, Slave to the Rhythm, Crossing, Ooh, The Action, Don't Cry, It's Only the Rhythm, Ladies and Gentlemen, Miss Grace Jones. And it's totally the same song, but done in different, it's almost like an opus, you know what I mean? It has all these different sections to it. So it's a very concept album. This was very popular in the clubs too. Slave to the Rhythm, Dance to the Rhythm. This was produced by Trevor Horn. It's basically a biography of Grace Jones' career in a song, but a full album in a song. One song in a full album in different parts. Okay, so it's almost like an opera, I guess. It's interesting. Yeah, so another thing about Grace Jones is during this time is when I met her. I was working at Bergdorf Goodman, which is it's one of the top of the top, at least at the time, in the 80s, retail establishments. It's like the creme de la creme of department stores. It still is. I mean, it's definitely one of those places where new designers get to put their pieces in that store and they know they've made it. So it's definitely one of those places. And also, if you work in retail and you get to work at Bergdorf Goodman, even for a year, you know you've hit the apex when it comes to retail. And I got a job at Bergdorf Goodman in the men's department, and I had some major people as customers. And Diane von Furstenberg's father was my customer. I mean, it was just really amazing time. I was going to college at the time when I was working there part time. Anyway, one of the days that I worked there, this woman comes in. This vision. It was Grace Jones. I knew she was in town. She was doing a show in town, and she came in to look for something to wear in the show that night. And the guy that I worked, his name was Michael. I think he was from the Ukraine. And he did not know who she was, and he did not understand the concept or anything like that. And he was going to take her as a customer, and I said, no, I don't think you should. And so I took her as a customer, and she ended up buying a Terry Mugler electric blue long jacket from me with these big shoulder pads. Enormous shoulder pads, and it was this bright blue with this belt and all. I mean, it was unbelievable. And she actually crawled. We had these countertops, these counters, where all the ties and stuff were, handkerchiefs and stuff, and jewelry. And she climbed up onto the counter and crawled on the counter like a cat. And Michael was losing his mind. He thought she was going to break the glass. But I said, she's so light, she's not going to do anything, She was great. She was great. It was just a fun time to have her there. She was a lot of fun. Very interesting, very wild. I thought my manager was going to have a cow because my manager did not understand celebrity. She didn't get it. She just didn't get it at all. And she was like, why are these people here? They're causing such a havoc and blah, 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 blah. I was like, they're going to buy a lot of stuff. Just leave them alone, Rick James did the same thing. He was crazy. And I had him as a customer. He was insane. But anyway, we're sticking to Grace Jones. Anyway, so that's one thing. The other thing about Grace Jones now is that she's 77 years old, and she is still performing. She's now on tour with Janelle Monáe, from what I understand. I wish she would come here. But last time I saw a film footage of her performing, I think it was last year, and she was still working. She was still dancing with high heel shoes on at 77, practically naked, painted her upper body but no top on, just painted everything, and just her pants or whatever on the bottom, and hula hooping while she's singing and not missing a note. Hula hooping while she's singing at 77 on stage with high heels going up and down stairs. 77. I mean, come on, the woman she's just gangster, Anyway, so that's another fact about her, that she still can do it. She still has it. That's all I have in terms of vinyl. So I'm just going to show you some CDs really quickly. She had a record, 1986, and this is called Inside Story. Inside Story. And this record had the song that I knew very well on here is I'm Not Perfect. And you should Google this, or you should look it up on YouTube. The video for this is outrageous. I'm not perfect, but I'm perfect for you. Right on time. That's incredible. And this was produced by Nile Rodgers and Grace Jones together. But that was a big hit for her. Then she came out with another record in 1989. Bulletproof Heart. Not one of my favorite records. This has on here, I think Bulletproof Heart was a big hit. Don't Cry Freedom was another one. There was a duet with Chris Stanley. I don't really like this album that much. It's a little too poppy for me. It's kind of goes away from what I'm used to with her, but I love the cover. The cover's great. Okay. Then several years passed, and quite a few years passed. 2008, she came out with this fabulous record called Hurricane. The videos on this are really wild too. The songs that I know on this is William's Blood, Well, 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 and Hurricane. Love You to Life is another one. Great record. And see, it's her mass produced. Oops. Sorry. Yeah. Hurricane. Grace Jones. And then some extra CDs I have here. Grace Jones, Greatest Hits compilation, Island Life. Isn't that incredible? That photograph? Oh my gosh. Incredible. Yeah, Jumbo really knew how to really make her something, you know. And then this is one that a lot of people have. I don't think it's on vinyl. I think it's only on CD. And this is the Private Life Compass Point Sessions. And this has like different versions of some of the same songs, like Private Life, She's Lost Control, the 12 inches of Magic Making Guy, Nipple to the Bottle, all that kind of stuff. But it also has on here great, and I didn't know she did this until I found this record. She does a version, she does a Johnny Cash tune. Where is it? Ring of Fire. Great version of Ring of Fire. A reggae version of Ring of Fire. And the first time I heard that was a character on the TV show ER was dancing to it while she was making a smoothie. And I'm like, that's Grace Jones. I gotta find that. And I found it on this. The Compass Point Sessions. I don't think it's anywhere else. But she does Ring of Fire, a really great version of that. Here's a CD version of that.